Hi everybody, today we are covering a few of my top tips for teaching your service dog in training to work around distractions. Now this is something we get tons and tons of questions about. Last week I shared with you the top mistakes owner trainers make when teaching their service dogs to work around distractions, and I promised you that I would bring you some tangible tips this week. So this week in our live we are talking about my 3 top tips for teaching your service dog in training to work around distractions and to focus around distractions. Now, of course, before we jump into this, I want to cover really quickly what it is I mean when I say focus around distractions, because I think that it's always really important to first define what it is that we're actually looking for, because I see a lot of variability when people start to talk about distractions and about focus and what it is that they're looking for. So when I'm teaching and I'm telling you we're going to build your dog's focus around distractions, I mean primarily that your dog is capable of ignoring a distraction when you ask. So responding to a leave it or responding to his name, for example. I would like I would like Leo to look at me when I say his name, even if distractions are present. So if we go to the mall and I say Leo, he should still look at me. And then I would like my service dogs in training to respond to known cues. So I would like them to do the things that I ask, right? So to sit or lay down. And of course, once we get into that, we have to make sure that our dogs actually know those behaviors, but that's like a whole separate topic. So that's what we're kind of talking about when I say focus around distractions. I don't actually mean a dog who stares at you like this and does nothing else and completely ignores his environment, because our service dogs are going to notice their environment, and that has to be okay with us. But we would really like our service dogs to disengage from the environment and from distractions and look at us when we ask them to, right? And I think that that's what a lot of us struggle with, is we have dogs who are pulling towards distractions, staring at distractions, dogs who won't look at us or respond to known cues in the presence of distractions. So my first tip for today is distance is your best friend. When it comes to working around distractions, this is huge. Distance is absolutely your best friend. And what I mean by distance is literally how far away you are from the distraction. So if the distraction is squirrels or other dogs or other people, how far away you are is huge. So when we're starting to teach our service dogs to work around distractions, we really want to start as far away as we can get from the distraction, as far away as possible or as necessary, so that our dogs are capable of being successful, meaning I'm far enough away from the distraction that when I say Leo's name, he does look at me. I want to start in that distance and then slowly work closer only as my dog is showing me he's ready. So what we see a lot of people do instead is bring their dogs right into the mall or right into the dog park or right into some very distracting environment without working at a distance first. So I like to start my service dogs in training as far away from the distraction as they need in order to be successful, and then slowly move closer. Now, of course, if you're here live and you have any questions about this stuff as we go through, please feel free to ask questions. There's always a delay between when I say that and then when your questions pop up, but feel free to ask questions while we're here live. Now, on the topic of distance, because I'm saying distance is your best friend, there are, of course, going to be some things that are hard to get distance from. Squirrels, for example, don't tend to sit still in one place long enough for us to work around them. But something like other people, something like other dogs, something like traffic, these are things that we can get distance from and then slowly move closer. Now, my next big tip for you is understand what motivates your dog. And this is really, really important. So what I actually recommend is everybody does is have 2 lists. One list of all the things your dog finds reinforcing, and one other list of all the things your dog finds distracting. And then rate everything on those lists on a scale of 1 to 10. So you have something like a low-level distraction, a high, medium-level distraction, a high-level distraction. You have a low-level reinforcer, a medium-level reinforcer, and a high-level reinforcer. But if you're going to teach your dog to work around distractions, you have to really understand what your dog actually finds distracting and what your dog actually finds reinforcing. So what motivates your dog? Some dogs, if you're lucky, you have a dog with a super high reinforcer. So I have a retriever at home who, if I have a tennis ball, there is nothing on the planet that he will even notice. There's no distraction on the planet that trumps a tennis ball. But not every dog has that. And that's okay. Some dogs have level 10 distractions. Some dogs have level 10 reinforcers. My point is, you really have to understand what motivates your individual dog. And more than just having the list is understand that your dog is an individual. So let me give you a quick example. My toller, I have 2 tollers in my house, 2 Nova Scotia duck tolling retrievers. And one of them is very easily motivated by attention. If you go, oh, Kenzie, what a good girl, and you scratch her face and you scratch her, she loves that. She like practically crawls out of her skin. She's so excited that you're scratching her and telling her how great she is. She loves it. And it works beautifully as a reinforcer, either on its own or in combination with food. So I might give her a treat and then tell her how great she is, that kind of thing. My other Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever, Striker, hates that. Okay, he wants the food, he wants the toy, that's it. He does not want to be scratched behind the ears. He doesn't want to be touched. He doesn't want me to tell him how great he is. He wants his paycheck, and that's it. And so with Striker, if he does something wonderful in the presence of a distraction, and I go, oh, I'm so proud of you, good job, oh, that's so great, and I start scratching him and loving on him, I'm not reinforcing the behavior I want. Okay, I'm not motivating Striker to work for me around distractions because I'm not using something that actually motivates him. So what I recommend people do is, of course, keep these lists. So you have your list of distractions, your list of reinforcers, and video yourself training your dog. Video yourself and your dog when you give him a treat. Video yourself playing together. Video yourself playing with him without toys. Video all these things so you can go back and watch it and see, oh, okay, so my dog really loves it when I scratch him behind the ear, but he doesn't like to be touched on the chest. How your dog likes to be reinforced, how your dog likes to engage with you is really important when it comes to working around distractions. The trainers that I see, the owner trainers that I meet, the competitors I've known in like agility and competition sports, the ones that excel across all of these disciplines, whether we're talking about training a service dog or a pet dog or a search and rescue dog or an agility dog, the ones who really excel are the ones who truly know how to motivate each individual dog that they train with. When you watch me train, I have 7 dogs in my house. I've got Leo and I have 6 of my own. When I train each of them, I interact with them differently. So how you interact with your dog, what motivates him, is something you really have to be an expert on if you're going to teach your dog to listen to you around distractions. Now, my third tip, and of course, if you have questions about anything as we go through this, go ahead and throw them in. My third tip is to balance your teeter-totter. Now, this was something that was explained to me by actually our very own Christina's husband when he was talking to me about some photography stuff, because that's what he does, but I adapted it to dog training, is this. I want you guys to think about training your dogs around distractions like a teeter-totter, okay? On this side, we have distractions. And on this side, we have you and your reinforcer. We want this to stay nice and balanced, right? Nice and level, so that my distractions don't outweigh me and my reinforcers. So if I have a really heavy distraction, if I have a big distraction that's really heavy, I have to balance it back out somehow with something on this end. That might be better treats. So if I'm going to the mall for the first time and the distractions are really heavy, I might get out the hot dogs. Okay, or the steak, or the leftover chicken, something really good to help balance my teeter-totter back out. If on the other hand, if I'm going to the mall for the first time, I might use more treats. So if my distraction starts to get heavy, I might use more treats per minute. So instead of giving my dog 1 treat every, 30 seconds or something, I might give him treat. I might do a very high, what we call rate of reinforcement, so that he's being reinforced very, very often for doing the things that I want, for focusing on me, for responding to known behaviors, right? If my distractions get really heavy, I might offset that by creating more distance. Distance is which we talked about. That was my first tip. Remember, that the further away we get from a distraction, the easier it is for our dogs. So if my distractions get really heavy, I might offset that by getting further away from them. So I might move further away until my teeter-totter balances back out, and then slowly move closer again. Okay, but when my distractions get heavy, if my distractions get heavy, I have to do something to balance that. So I see a lot of people whose teeter-totters are leaning like this, and they're still trying to train their dog. If your teeter-totter's leaning, you have to balance it back out before you can do anything else. And once it's balanced, then we can start to train again. Then we can start to teach our dogs to ignore distractions and do all of that stuff, right? So my first tip was distance. Start as far away from the distraction as you need to and slowly get closer. My second tip was to really, truly understand what motivates your dog. Okay, what is it that your dog finds distracting? What is it that he finds reinforcing? Really understand your dog and how you can best motivate him. What reinforcers he likes, how he prefers for you to interact with him. And then make sure your teeter-totter is nice and balanced, okay? If one thing gets harder, we have to make something else easier to balance it back out. So we have to use better treats, a higher rate of reinforcement, more distance from the distraction. We also tend to think about our criteria in this one. So what is it that you expect from your dog? If we use heeling as an example, when I'm heeling at home, I might expect my dog to have a perfect heel. He's perfectly in position. We walk, 20 steps at a time with only one treat. I might have a really high criteria for that. But once I go to a new location, I might relax my criteria. So I might decide, all right, instead of being a perfect heel position, nice and tight up to my left side, it's okay if my dog is just a little bit out of position, okay? Or it's okay if I have to reinforce my dog every few steps instead of every 20 steps. So when that teeter-totter starts to get heavy and it starts to lean towards the distractions, we have to balance it back out. So those are my top tips for working around, three of them, because it was actually very hard to narrow this down. So those are three of my top tips for working around distractions and teaching your dog to focus in new places and around new environments. If you guys have any questions, the best place to ask them, unless you're here now and you can throw them into the comments real quick, is going to be in our Facebook group, Train Your Service Dog with Confidence, which is also where our free focus building and working around distractions workshop is going to be held. And that is starting on the 16th of October. So is that is next week. If you're watching today on the 8th, that is about a week and a half away. So we're going to be doing a big live 4-part focus building and working around distractions workshop inside that free Facebook group, Train Your Service Dog with Confidence. So I will make sure that the link to that is in the description of this video once I get off of here. And if you guys have any questions at all, that Facebook group is the best place to ask them. And I really hope to see you guys in that workshop because we're going to cover a lot of things. So these last couple of weeks where we've been talking about working around distractions and focus building on these lives has just barely been the tip of the iceberg, because we're going to really dive into a few of these things much deeper starting on the 16th. So I hope to see you guys all there. If you have any questions, let us know, and make sure that you join us inside that Facebook group, Train Your Service Dogs with Confidence, and I will add the link to the description of this video. Otherwise, I will see you guys next week and then on the 16th. So have a great day.